Hey, what's up? Evan here, and I'm super excited to bring to you another special interview today. And here I am in Baden-Württemberg, Germany. Do watch the end and do subscribe. And here with me today is the raw talent behind the widest range of origami creations, from mean cats to the craziest single sheet origami skeletons. The badass color change animals. Please welcome Bodo Haag. Thank you so much for accepting this interview and with the tight arrangement of accommodating my travel plans. Just so you know, he is the reason why I started posting on my YouTube channel. Yeah, so all the way back in 2020, it's COVID, we do COVID things, and we all just stay at home. That time we all hang out, as origami artists in Discord, and Bodo, he organized a video competition. It's like, okay, I was doing some Darth Vader design, and I was trying my hand at video edits. So, okay, I just posted it, and yeah, I did want something. Yeah, and so before we begin, I have something for you. Okay, so this is a little gift from me, from Singapore.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is a Starbucks mug with all the popular icons and landmarks of Singapore. And also, I have a footballer here. This is my design. With your name and your favorite number, as well as this the winning World Cup Germany jersey. Yeah, so this is version 3 of my footballer. And also, I have version 1. Give me a moment. Yeah, over here. So this one has shoulders. Yeah, but this one, the crease cuts through the jersey. So yeah, you can bend it.
Like this?
Yeah, bend it. Yeah, so how it works is just like that. You can tap the player to kick the ball. Yeah. Okay, so this is for you, okay?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so Bodo, could you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Bodo Haag. I'm 25 years old currently. Yeah, I've been folding ever since I was a little kid. I started folding at 7.
Wow, that's really young. Okay, nice. So, in Germany, what is your favorite attraction that you have been to?
So, of course, I'm gonna mention something from the place where I'm living. So, I really recommend Tübingen. It's a nice kind of small town in southern Germany. And yeah, it has some nice sights like a castle.
Perhaps your favorite German food?
Also like a specialty from here, which is Linsenseiden und Spätzle. It's a food that we just had earlier today.
Aha, yeah. So what are some of your recommendations for visitors to Germany?
I recommend seeing a variety of different cities. So there's Berlin, but Berlin is a really big city, so I recommend seeing some smaller cities as well, because it's more common how we live in Germany. So yes, go see Berlin, go see some smaller city like maybe Tübingen. It's quite far away, but yeah, it's a good place to visit.
Yeah, so how's your childhood like in Germany? And what kind of a student were you in school?
So I had a really good childhood. So I'm living in a small town, so I had a lot of time to spend with friends, going out and playing on the street. Of course, also a lot of time for folding. School was fine for me. I didn't spend too much time learning, but I still always managed to get through it. So.
So I suppose you're very intelligent student. you get by without much work.
I'm not sure. I did well in some subjects that were interesting to me, but the subjects I didn't care about, I was not good.
don't we all? Yes. How's this educational format like over here?
So we have primary school, grade 1 to 4. So you enter when you're about 7 years old, and then it's 4 years of primary education. And then there's, well, at least when I was that age, 3 different types of school. There's Hauptschule, Realschule, and Gymnasium, which are like 3 different levels of education. I went into a gymnasium, and there I do grade 5 to 12, I think. And then you do the kind of final test, Abitur, where you you get it and then you can go to uni or do anything else.
So you're saying like after grade 1 to 4, then you are branched into 3 different routes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there's 3 different kind of levels of school.
Then after that period of education, you can go on to the university.
Yes.
Yes, okay, I see. What are perhaps your best memories in your childhood that you mentioned?
I think probably going on vacation with my family. So we've been doing a lot of vacations in Europe, like France or Italy, and I always really like those vacations.
What are some of these things in Germany that you really like?
I really like that you can basically do anything you want. So I'm really free to do whatever I want. So there's a lot of possibilities to do anything you like. Yeah, I'm really like I can go anywhere I want just by public transportation, for example. I can visit a lot of places, and it's just really easy and convenient to do all of those things.
So it's like freedom to choose like what you want to do as a hobby or as a career or school.
Yes.
And it's not going to be much judgment, right?
Yes.
It's very inclusive. Yes.
So,
Perfect.
For example, in school, I switched from my school to like a different school that's more focused on the job. So I did like a design and media technology. So it was still like a normal school, but it was focused on these kind of design topics. So I learned a lot of design subjects there, and it was really good for me compared to the normal school that I attended before.
Yeah, so now we are talking about origami, right? So how's this origami scene in Germany like?
Yeah, so in Germany it's really interesting, I think, because a lot of kids learn about origami in kindergarten and do some basic origami there. You might know Fröbel, who did some origami really early, and he developed some kind of origami, and he also had a lot of influence on kindergarten and these kind of things. So there's origami is kind of spread in kindergartens, but after that, usually people kind of forget about it, I think. There's not many people doing origami, and even less people doing complex origami. In school, for example, I had a friend who I kind of got a little bit into origami, but not too much. So I was probably like one of the only people in my entire school doing origami. And generally here, it's mostly older people who do a lot of folding. The convention is mostly old women who enjoy folding more simple models, but there's not many young people doing complex origami.
Yeah, so before I was flying here and preparing for this interview, you were telling me about this Eislingen Bergheim meetups that you usually participate in. Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about that one.
So in Germany, there's one big meeting one time a year, which is always in Berlin or in Bonn. And that's like the main convention that people go to. It's like 250 participants approximately.
Wow. That's
and then we have smaller local meetings, which are spread throughout Germany. And so the local meeting I go to is the one in Esslingen-Bergheim. And it's once a month usually. And we meet up in a senior home. Because that's just like the location that we have.
Okay.
And usually it's maybe 15 to 20 people. Again, it's mostly older people who are folding like rather simple stuff or tessellations. But recently there's been a lot more young people who have been invited by me. The complex part of the community, complex folders, is also growing, and I'm really happy to have some friends there who go there regularly, and I can meet and
share
models and
the kind of origami that you are participating in, right? Yeah,
yes.
Complex origami.
So for a long time, there have always been people who did kind of complex origami. So sometimes there were some kids that I was teaching, or like really early in the meetings, there was another guy who was a bit older than me who was teaching me some complex origami.
Are there any, like, now we're talking about like people, right? So any notable origami artists from Germany that you wanted to bring to our attention?
Yes, actually, there are. So again, I'm going to mention some people who come to the local conventions. One of them is David Wismart. He's doing some fantastic humanoid figures. And another one is Nico. He just popped up on Instagram fairly recently. I've never heard of him before, but he's doing really insane box splitting models and tilted grid, hex split, everything. So I think he really deserves more attention.
Yes, so for yourself, how and when did you start doing origami?
So I got into origami when I was about 7. So the origin story is that my mom participated in like a day like in Japan. So she learned about calligraphy and Japanese culture, and she also learned how to fold a crane. And she really liked folding that crane. So she told my dad, and I said, wow, look at this crane, and I made it myself. So my dad gifted her an origami book for her birthday. I can actually show it. Okay, so she got this origami book, which is called Ideen über Ideen, Origami, neue Figuren für Fortgeschrittene, which translates to new figures for advanced folders. So it's kind of a difficult origami book for someone who just got started, but she managed to fold some of those models in the book. And at some point she got busy because my family has a bunch of kids and she had no time to be folding, so she put the book and a bunch of models that she folded in a box and put that box away. At some point later I discovered that box and I was like, wow, that's amazing, Mom, fold this model, fold that model, fold that model. So I was like, yes, okay, I'm gonna fold it.
Okay, nice.
So she made it. Again, at some point she just got too busy and told me, okay, there's the diagrams. I'm going to do the pre-creasing and you can try to fold it. I tried to fold it as well as like a 7-year-old kid can do it. Back then it was really messy because my hand-eye coordination wasn't really good. I kind of managed to fold and it was really fun, and so since then I just kept on folding.
So do you fold alone? Is it a lonely journey for you like most origami artists? Or do you practice it with friends and family?
Actually, for me, it was never really lonely because I participated in conventions ever since I was pretty young. So there was always some kind of exchange. And I had my local group and there were people who were folding with me and giving me some tips and tricks. And I always kind of had people around me who also did origami.
Nice.
My mom also folded with me for a long time. So I always had people who were also interested in origami around me. So I'm really happy and lucky to have those people.
Nice. So there is always this abundance of events and things going on about origami in Germany. Then there's this opportunity for you to participate and find friends.
Maybe not an abundance of events, but there's a handful of events, like the meeting once a year.
Once a year, okay.
The
At least
origami meeting.
Yeah.
Then the local meeting once a month.
Oh, that's good.
And back again from school, that one friend who I taught a little bit of origami.
Okay. So in school, with that one friend or yourself, how did you juggle schoolwork with origami?
So usually it was not a big problem. In school I was mostly paying attention to class, and when there was some free time I was also folding a little bit. And so it was never a big issue to juggle both schoolwork and origami. I always managed to find time to fold, and I didn't spend too much time on the schoolwork, but it all worked out.
Good to hear. You design a lot of work. So when did you start designing?
Actually, I started designing directly after starting to fold.
Oh.
So I started folding when I was 7, and I started designing when I was 8.
Oh.
And
Wow.
Yeah, so it came really naturally to me because I was just taking paper and playing around. At some point, some kind of figure starts forming, and hey, it looks like a kind of bird, and then it's a bird. Maybe
free folding.
Yes. Maybe it helped that like when you're young, you still have a lot of fantasy that it's maybe lost at some point. I just fold something and it suddenly looks like a bird. even though maybe it doesn't really look like
Okay.
a bird, but to young me, it really did. So
I see. So it started from then after that you picked up more and more difficult design theory and design techniques.
yeah, so when I was young, I was stuck in that free-falling phase for a long time. But again, through attending meetings, meeting those people who have a lot more experience designing, I learned a lot of tricks along the way. So for example, one of the first origami meetings I went to, there was someone who was folding insects from crease pattern. And so even though I was a small kid, he still taught me like how crease patterns work basically, and that crease patterns exist and you can fold from them. And so I started solving simple crease patterns. So I would print them out my mom would print them out in pretty big, and I would just fold along the creases and learn a lot like that.
Wow, very enriching and rich experience you have over here. So talking about origami designs, I noticed that your designs move toward a certain direction. I like particularly the origami skeletons and the color change words. So tell me more about how you choose a topic of design.
Yes. So when I was starting out to design, I was just thinking of anything. But recently I started designing in series. So for example, there was the skeleton series where I designed dinosaur skeletons, and I looked up a bunch of different skeletons that would be interesting, with interesting features, such as the Sarcosuchus skeleton, which has these interesting plates on the back, or Stegosaurus. That was like the dinosaur skeleton series, but I also did a series on color changes. So usually these kinds of series are connected to a skill or to a technique. So for example, with the skeletons, I learned a lot about box pleating and packing a lot of flaps in a model, because you need a lot of flaps. And again, those skeletons also turned out to work really well if I use asymmetry. So I learned about box pleating, asymmetry, and efficient packing. There's another series with spots and stripes. Looked up a bunch of animals that are spotted or have stripes, and I try to make as many of them as possible. So for example, here's a raccoon with a striped tail, and there's also a lot more complicated color changes on the head, and the feet are color changed as well. And so I'm always kind of looking for a series that I can do, and then I look for subjects. So most recently there have been the dinosaurs. Again, a big focus on color change, but this time using pleats to make teeth. And also a lot of them share the eye and pupil details. And I'm just trying to find something that I'm interested in and then push that idea until I run out of ideas, so I just want to do something else.
What goes on in your mind when you design?
Okay, so when I design, usually starting with a blank sheet can be kind of scary. So you want to get some ideas of what you want to make, and how can we start it? First of all, there's two main starting points. We can either use a book symmetry or a diagonal symmetry to start designing the model. Also one third option, which is fully asymmetrical, but usually you don't really need it. If both of those other methods don't work out, you might want to consider going asymmetrical. For example, when designing this kind of sea turtle, that's a secondary model for my Mosasaurus, I'm looking at reference images of the model itself, and I see the front fins of the sea turtle are bigger than the hind fins, and like what kind of features do I want that sea turtle to have? So in this case, I just want to have a simple shell, two front fins, a head, two hind fins, and maybe a tail. Maybe I don't need eyes, maybe I could add eyes. I will see it later when I'm designing. So I don't have an exact view of the model that I want to create, but I have a general idea what I absolutely need and what I maybe want to add as well. So for this model, my general approach was to start with a bird base. So I'm using a diagonal symmetry. And the bird base has 4 flaps and one small one in the middle. So let's try to assign some flaps. So we have 2 big front fins, which could be the 2 opposite corners. We have a head, which could be this corner, and we have 2 short hind fins, which could be in this corner, but Right now it's just one big flap, but we can point split to make two shorter flaps. So let's quickly do that. Something like this. Now let's have a quick look at the shell. So to make the shell we can use this area here, but it's too pointy here. So to widen it, we can just remove some creases to make, move the crease to make it wider. And we need to add some new creases here. But again, this kind of stuff can be figured out either by drawing in the software or just by test folding. And I really recommend to just test fold it, because usually it's the better method to come up with 22.5. So now we have a bigger shell, and we have some space for the front legs, front fins, and we have a lot of space for the head. We need to color change then that. On the crease pattern right now, we can't exactly tell if it's possible, so it's good to test fold it anyway. So we can see the shell is in the middle, so we can't really color change it. So we would have to color change each of the other parts, like the hind fins and the front fins. But there's quite a lot of paper in there, so it should be possible. And then you just fold the model itself and try out all of those ideas. So even if the crease pattern is just kind of basic, we can still refold and find ways to get all of the details more beautiful and work out all of those parts. So my thoughts when designing are mostly kind of like that. So I try to come up with a basic crease pattern, or like a basic idea how I can approach the design, and then I work on it and fold it and test fold until I'm happy with it.
So yeah, I still want to say I'm very fascinated about the skeletons and the color change. Yeah, if I asked you to teach me something about origami principles now, yeah, what could you share with me?
I really like doing color changes, so the method I want to share is for color changes. I think it's really good to approach color changes from this kind of point of view. So whenever you color change something, you want to check the edge of the sheet, because that's where all of the color change is going to happen. So if we have this kind of edge, we can modify it and do with it whatever we want. So for example, if we open the paper, you can see the color change will happen along the edge. So we can modify the edge to make any shape that we want with the color change. So for the horse character, it's actually quite a simple approach. So basically my horse design has not 4 but 5 legs, and the 5th leg is used to make the color change character. So that's basically like a flap that we have, that we can use. And how do we write the Chinese character for horse on this one flap? That's the question. We have this seam in the middle, and we can use that idea of modifying the edge to make the character. So to write horse, it looks something like this. I'm not doing the correct stroke order because I don't know how it goes. So there's 3 horizontal strokes, and then there's something like this, something like this. No, this one's going this direction. Okay. Something like this. We need to assign the space from all of these strokes to this one over here. So the way I'm doing it is by approximately counting units. So I'm starting at this point here, and then I'm just going around the perimeter of the entire thing and just count the units. So there's maybe 2 units to here, and this is 1 unit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's important to count both the top and the bottom side. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. and so on and so forth. So we keep counting all of those units. And then here there's a gap. So we still need to imagine that there's a line between all of those. So we continue counting all of those units. And at some point we will be done. And we have a total of maybe 64 units. Now 64 would be a good number because it's even. It's kind of easy to fold. Now, since we have two edges, one over here and one over here, we can divide those 64 by 2 and we get 32. So that's 32 grid units. So if we divide this flap into 32 equal parts, we will have we will have enough paper to get this kind of character. We should have at least. So I'm not going to show the entire thing, but we basically divide that flap into 32. I'm just going to show a more simplified way. So I'm just going to make a small amount of folds. Maybe like this. Okay. So we imagine this is our full grid on the flap, and to make it, we basically just need to make pleats, but we are going to open the paper and reverse fold. Like this. And like this. So we have some short flaps here that we can fold outside and just slightly shift the layers. So we get a little bit of color peeking through. And if we squash this bit, we already have a horizontal stroke. So if we do the same thing, we can get all of those horizontal lines here quite easily. Just a simple pleat. Inside reverse fold, and then we separate the layers a bit. And it's good to use tweezers for this. Like this. If we have more complicated shapes like this one, which is going to the side, going down, and then going to the side again, we can use a little bit more paper. Fold it out to the side like before, then change the direction and fold it down, and then fold a little tip here to the side again with like a swivel fold. And if we separate those layers a bit, we can get this kind of shape here. It's a color change. Again, it's just a quick example, but you can see the basic idea. So you can trace the edge and see that it's following exactly the kind of shapes that we want. So it's going to the side, it's going down, and it's following all of those shapes. So as long as we can know and control where the edge of the paper goes, we can make any color change that we want. So for example, with this gap here, you see there's a small seam, but it's basically invisible. So there's a gap, and then we can shift paper to the outside and make small strokes coming down here. So it's really just about controlling the edge and assigning the right amount of paper to it. So we can finish all of the color changes and we don't run out of paper midway. So there's different ways you could get this part. So for example, you could make each line a bit longer and add the vertical bit like this, or you could have this one really long and then fold that flap up to be like this. So there's different approaches you could use. I use this one where the flap is really long. Now in order to fold it up, it's a bit confusing. because if we fold this flat, going down is easy, but going up is weird because it doesn't want to. So the way I solved it is by folding like this, doing like a little squash here, and then doing swivel fold. So now this line is going up, and usually it's hard to go up, but with this small trick you can go up. And in this case it's fine to do it this way. Alternatively, you could also just take this this upper stroke and make it really long and then fold it down. That would work as well. So there's different approaches you could use, and yeah, that's like one small design method that I can share.
Yeah, so you have been to a lot of conventions, even doing the folders recursion model, where 3 friends as a weaving in origami style. So how do you prep for and make the most out of a convention? So for the viewers who are preparing for conventions, who are attending one.
So this might come as a surprise, but I'm actually not preparing too much. Of course, I have all of my models that I'm bringing, and I'm trying to make sure that I have display stands so the models can stand by themselves. And I'm also preparing for the workshop. So that's kind of a must do. If it's a convention where I know the attendance or know that some people are coming, there might be some kind of special preparation for that, like the folders recursion that you just mentioned. We prepared that one in advance. So we did a Discord call and kind of came up with a basic structure for the model, because we can't fold all of it at the convention. There's just too little time. So we had a basic idea first.
Okay. So you had to have planned. Then after that, when you are at the convention, then what happens over there?
Yeah. So at the convention itself, we set up the exhibition. We do the workshops, which should be prepared, because otherwise it's gonna be messy. Yeah, folding the folders recursion one at the convention went really smoothly. So whenever there was a bit of time between workshops or late at night, we just get out the model and fold it together and shape it as much as possible. And having that kind of time pressure is a bit tricky. But since I was staying in New York for a few days afterwards, it was fine, even if I didn't fully finish during the convention. And for my recent trip in Asia, so I went to the Chinese convention, Tanteidan convention, and the Korean convention. At the Chinese and Tanteidan as special guest, and Korean just as a normal attendee. Actually, I didn't prepare too much. Just the workshop and exhibition. But other than that, I was just going in with like an open mind and just enjoyed it.
Just enjoy and receive the experience.
Yes.
Talk about like origami and design and tips and tricks. Who are the biggest influences in your origami life, and what lessons did these people teach you?
So I think there's been a lot of influences for me, because again, I was really lucky to go to all of those conventions and meet special guests there. For example, I met Stefan Weber at one of the Freising conventions. He taught me a lot about the structure and locks of models. So whenever possible, you should fold a structural lock to keep the model hold its shape. I met a lot of people along the way who taught me a bunch of tips and tricks at those conventions. At some point it was the New York convention, where I met a lot more complex designers. Of course, there's also a lot of inspiration online, so I learned a lot from Tadashi Mori's tutorial, where he explained how he designed the Scorpion using box pleating. That's where I learned box pleating for the first time, probably.
Nice.
After that, I learned a lot from Kota Imai's crease patterns. So I was really studying those and trying to come up with similar structures and just understanding how Pythagorean stretches work. Yeah, all of those things were either from people I met in person or people whose work I looked up to. So just pinpointing one or like a handful of persons is really difficult, because there's been so many who helped along the way.
Origami is a community thing. Yeah, so you mentioned you were running a paper and workshop servers in the Origami Discord. So could you talk a little bit about how it works so you can share with the other viewers and hope they participate more?
Yeah, of course. You might know there's Origami Discords like the design server and the Origami Den for just general community. And I thought it would be nice to have a paper server because I'm really interested in treating papers and making papers. I think it's a really core skill that you should have as someone who does origami. So I made that server with the idea of sharing resources. Because a lot of people ask, how do I make MC? How do I make a double tissue? How can I make tissue foil? I created that server and put a lot of those resources out there, like how do I make MC? How do I make double tissue? Yeah, I'm really happy that there's a lot of people joining and a lot of people who are using those techniques like dyeing paper using Procyon dyes. It's been a handful of people who are using those methods that I found, and I'm really happy to see people using those methods and having success making good paper themselves.
Perfect, right? With technology, with like this kind of software, you can reach out to so many people. Yeah. So perhaps also, like, why did you choose this mode of communication, like as a Discord server, rather than say you post a YouTube video? Because you also have a channel.
Yeah, actually, I'm really lazy when it comes to making YouTube videos.
Okay.
So making a Discord channel seems like the easiest option to me. If I want to make a video, I probably could and I probably should, but doing it through Discord was easier for me.
Okay,
so that's
logistically. Yeah, so looking back, you have a great, origami career journey. So could you give a brief summary of it, and what are some of these the most notable events to your heart?
Oh, okay. Let's see. So I started designing. Started folding when I was 7. Started designing when I was 8. And then I kept folding other people's designs, I folded a lot of Satoshi Kamiya's models, folded Junmai Kama, a lot of models. At some point I started getting into box splitting, mostly because of Tadashi Mure's Scorpion tutorial. Must have been maybe 2012, 2013-ish. And so I started drawing crease patterns for box split models. Back then I didn't know much about designing, but I tried as much as I could. Around the time or even earlier, I went to conventions. So back then there were Freising conventions in Freising, close to Munich.
Mm.
I also met Paolo Mulatinho.
Oh, it's a name I've not heard in a long time. Yeah, I had this book when I was a kid.
Yeah, I met him also when I was really young, and he gifted me the book by Junmai Kama, Genuine Origami. He also introduced me to the Freising conventions.
Okay.
Every year I met the special guests at the convention, and every year I kind of learned something new. Yeah, so I was kind of just developing my design skills along the way, and I started doing a Flickr account because everyone was doing it. I was sharing my designs there. And I switched to Instagram and Twitter because everyone was switching. For me, it all came kind of naturally to just share my works online, share crease patterns, and learn from other people that I meet, or learn from images, like crease patterns that I shared online. And at some point, my models got kind of good, and I was invited to teach as a special guest. I think my first convention I was actually teaching was Chinese Wuchen online convention. That's when I was teaching my Hippo. It was the first kind of bigger online convention. Shortly after, I was invited as a special guest to the Origami Deutschland convention. Mm. And after that, a lot of conventions following. Like I went to the Czech convention, I went to the Polish convention.
Wow.
I went to...
Been to many places.
Yeah, I was invited to a lot of conventions, and I'm really happy about those opportunities to share about my origami and to share my methods I'm using. Yeah, most recently I kind of fulfilled my origami dream of going to to Japan and going to Tanteidan and meeting a lot of those Japanese designers that I really looked up to as a kid. That experience was really amazing. So yeah, I think these are pretty much like the notable events, like starting to fold, starting to design, starting to share pictures online. Of course, also engaging with the community. The first place I ever did was the German Origami Forum, which doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. But there I was already learning a lot about crafting, for example. Me and someone else hosted a contest about folding dragons.
Oh.
So we were kind of trying to one-up each other with dragons.
Oh, okay. So there's this one-up thing that's going on.
Yeah, so we basically both learned a lot about crafting in that time period, and we just made dragons like every other week. And I made this dragon, and it has 4 toes, and it has big wings, and it has a detailed head, and like stuff like that. And it was a really fun time.
Nice.
Connecting with the community, going to conventions, being invited to conventions, learning how to draw diagrams, also really important. Sharing those diagrams in convention books. Yeah, all of those are kind of big milestones for me. And I'm really excited to see what else might happen in the future.
Yeah, talking about some of these exhibits that you have and conventions that you participated recently. So one of it was this Chinese one, the Puyuan one, as well as the Reutlingen one that you mentioned. Could you talk a little bit about that one?
So recently I had my first solo exhibition in a town close to where I'm living. And it was really interesting because you have quite a big space to fill. And well, my models are 3-dimensional and I can only put them on like tables or something. But I had a lot of wall space to fill as well. So I was thinking of ways to fill up all of that space. So I thought, I have some dyed papers that look beautiful, so let's put those dyed sheets on the wall maybe. Or I have diagrams for some of my models. Maybe I can put a diagram on the wall to show people that we don't just have the finished model, we also have the entire process to get there. I wanted to show that process, that folding process. Because most people look at a finished piece and think, oh yeah, it's interesting, and move on. But if you show them, it's one sheet, it's folded, you don't do any cutting, it's more interesting for the people. So I tried to show the folding process. So I had one model where I had the sheet and then partially collapsed and then a finished model, for example. So people could just see the process a little bit. Exhibition was a success. There were some origami friends attending as well. I got to talk to a lot of people who were really interested in origami. And I gave 2 workshops as well. And so yeah, it was a really good experience to have this kind of exhibition.
So how about the Puyuan one, the Chinese?
Yes. And so the Chinese convention was really special. So I was in touch with some of the Chinese designers before that. I was at the online convention organized by the same organizer, Panam. He kind of told me that he would be interested in having me at the real life convention, but I just didn't know when exactly, and there was the entire COVID situation as well. So yeah, I was surprised when I got that invitation, and I was really excited because it's my first time in Asia. Well, first time in Asia with origami. I've been to India before. Yeah, that convention was really special because I got to meet a lot of people that I kind of knew about online, and some people that I've never heard of that are hidden kind of, and you never know about them, but they are there and they're really good. So the overall level of that convention is really high. I was surprised by the attendance. It's a lot of kids. So the convention is really big, about 300 participants, but most of them are really young as well. And
the next generation.
Yes. And the workshops, so the convention works different from other conventions that I've been to in a way that everyone is participating in the same workshop. So usually at conventions you have workshops of 20, 30, maybe 40 people, but at that convention you have a
300
class of 300 people. And so it's organized entirely differently. So usually you just have your sheet and you teach, but at that convention, people in the last row can't see. So they have a gigantic LED wall, like 6 meters tall. And all of the folding is projected onto that wall, so everyone can see it really well.
There's a camera that goes up there.
Yes. Yeah, I was really surprised. It was all organized insanely well, and I had a lot of fun at that convention. Another part that was special is that usually conventions are 3 to 4 days, but that convention was basically one huge convention split into 4 parts. So there's one part called Origami Joy, which is for families and kids. The second part, which is the origami convention, like the main part that most people are attending. Third part called the Origami Master, which is where there's more difficult workshops and more theory classes as well. And then there's the last part called Beyond Origami, and it's not exactly about origami, but more of a paper craft. And other methods that kind of go beyond the normal origami that we do. So like there was a Japanese designer who does some kind of toys. So I attended two of those kind of conventions, the main convention and the Origami Master one.
So the middle 2 events.
Yes, but still it was like a 2 weeks in China. Almost.
Wow.
And yeah, all of the time is spent with origami people. So there's a lot of special guests. I forgot the exact amount, but it's more than 10 foreign special guests. I think.
Wow.
And even more Chinese special guests. And you spend all of the time there surrounded by those people and talking to those people. So it's 2 weeks of origami heaven, basically.
Nice. Amazing. I would love to have been there.
Well, I can talk about the workshops that I gave there. So I was teaching my cat loaf model.
Nice.
And I was also teaching my Mosasaurus, which is a really complex models with 220 steps. After teaching my cat, I was a bit scared about that workshop because I didn't have much time for it, just 3 hours. For the master part, there were about 100 participants, and I was really worried that I wouldn't finish in time. But somehow I managed to teach it quickly, and the students were participating really well.
Okay.
So there were not many issues. So I managed to finish in exactly those 3 hours.
In the window, everybody managed to do it.
Maybe not everyone, but I think most people. Yeah. So yeah, that experience teaching them was also really special.
Yeah, so many folders, they also practice other disciplines other than origami. So like painting, photography, martial arts, so on and so forth. Is it the same for you?
Yeah, kind of. So for me, I'm mostly interested in origami as a kid, and a lot of interests kind of come from that. So there's interest in photography and videos and design, and all of those kind of originated from my interest in origami. But because I want to get better at origami, I also want to get better at taking pictures of my origami. So that's why I kind of picked up some other interests as well. Yeah,
so mainly you're talking about, like, say, it branched into photography, right? And you're also sharing me just now that you are using photography to do photo diagrams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Recently I'm working on photo diagrams. I really don't like diagramming models, and it's a lot of effort, and I think we can get diagrams more easily by doing photo diagrams. So I've been working on making photo diagrams that look higher quality than the usual ones, but are still fairly a lot less effort than regular diagrams. Yeah, here's like a small preview of my Mosasaurus diagrams. I hope to publish them, sell small booklets of that model soon. Yeah, it's an interesting process to make photo diagrams like this. I'm drawing the lines on the actual model itself. So these black lines are actually drawn on the fold. And then later on I'm adding the crease lines and the arrows digitally. And I'm doing the entire layout as well. So compared to normal diagrams, I don't need to draw every single step as a vector. I just need to add the arrows and mountain and valley lines. So it's a lot quicker and more enjoyable for me to do than drawing the full vector.
So, very open-based question. What kind of trend do you see over the years in terms of origami design, since you said you design like for decades already?
I think the recent trend has been kind of like a shift to 22.5 design. I think a lot of people get started doing box pleating, and at some point you kind of reach the limits of box pleating, or you get bored of it because you have to fold grids. And I think there's a big shift towards 20.5 degrees. So again, in the Chinese community, there's been a lot of people doing box pleating, but most of them shift to 20.5. So now there's hardly any box pleating designers there anymore. Most of them just do 20.5. I think I'm seeing the same kind of trend in other places of the world as well, where people who do box pleating kind of move towards 20.5. And I really like this kind of trend because it's really the same for me. I started off doing a lot of box pleat models, and again, a lot of them just end up being high grid counts. And recently I've been shifting towards 20.5 or towards really lowering those grids to like a 8x8 grid.
Oh, this is 8x8.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. This one is 10x10. So it's
The
really...
footballer is 8x8. The difference.
Yeah, I think this kind of trend towards 20.5 is really, really good. One trend I kind of wish to see more is people diagramming their models. Because I feel like a lot of people do the design but then don't want to diagram, which is understandable. I still think it's really important to at least learn how to draw diagrams and know how to draw diagrams, because for some of those models, the sequence that I'm using is really bad. But if I want to diagram them, the sequence needs to be good, because otherwise I can't diagram. So I put a lot more effort into folding sequences now than I did back then. I think just by putting more effort into the sequence and making sure everything is clean, I make better designs.
So it helps, like, because you want to communicate it well, so you need to think of the way to present an idea. Therefore, it helps you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for example, when I first designed my Mosasaurus, the lower jaw was really messy. So there were some folds that they worked out, but they were not good to do. And if I want to teach that model, I can't show these kind of folds. So I completely reworked the way the bottom jaw worked, and I found a good solution with 20.5 that's a lot easier to fold and also easier to teach in person. So I managed to make a photo diagram of that model and to teach it at the Puyan convention.
So what do you hope to see in the origami world moving forward?
So I hope to see more 20.5 designs, and I also hope to see more people diagramming their models, whether that's vector diagrams or photo diagrams or even video diagrams. It doesn't really matter, but if you document your folding sequence, it's really really good, both for yourself and for other people who want to fold your works.
Yeah, so when you say video diagrams, you mean like tutorials, right?
Tutorials,
yeah. I do that, yeah. I love making videos. So, what advice would you give to young folders who aspire to be like yourself?
I really recommend to focus on a lot of different areas. So, I think most young people just try to make the greatest model they can, but making the greatest model is one thing, but you also want to learn, how can I make that model look good? How can I take pictures of that model? How can I make crease pattern of that model? How can I maybe diagram that model? How can I shape that model well so it looks good? And a lot of those kind of different things branching off from origami are really important, I think. Sharing your works on social media is becoming more and more important as well. Do I just take a picture of the model and upload it, or do I put in some additional effort and make a small video, make something interesting with that model? It can really help, I think.
So not just folding a model, but also the peripheral disciplines that support the discipline.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and even if improving those surrounding areas will also help improving your designs, I think. So
definitely.
Even if it's like just taking pictures of your model, if you think about taking a picture while folding or while shaping, you might think about some things that you normally wouldn't think about. Like, what angle do I best show that model in? Or like, maybe I can use light or lighting to express details differently. Like, maybe it's enough to have just a shadow to indicate an eye, and if you take the picture with some hard light, you have a lot of shadows. It's interesting.
So let's say you are a kid in today's era. Yeah. So you were going to start your origami journey with all the technology, all the communications available. How differently would you have engaged origami as compared to the past?
So if I grew up now, there's a lot more information out there about design, how to design, and maybe it would have been a bit overwhelming for me when I did my origami journey. I only had so many tools and I only had so many resources that I can read, so it was kind of maybe easier to gather them. So if I would start all over now, I really don't know how I would handle it. Yeah, I would probably still like start learning how to do box pleating using plant psychologist's video guide. I would learn how to do crease patterns using Boyce's video guide. And again, like those resources are amazing because anyone can see them, and you don't need to like have to go to conventions to learn this kind of stuff like I did. If I didn't go to those conventions, I wouldn't have learned about crease patterns so early. But now, because there's those kind of tutorials online, people can learn about it. I still recommend, even though we have tools like Box Pleating Studio, Reference Finder, or Editor, like all of those tools, still recommend a kind of more manual way of learning and approaching those methods. So learning how to do Box Pleating Studio is one thing, but knowing why things work that way is an entirely different skill, and I think is really important.
So which of your many origami designs are you proudest of and why?
So usually the one I'm most proud of is the one that I made most recently.
Very common answer.
And currently I think it's the Triceratops, because it has a lot of elements that I just like about origami recently. So for example, this kind of low polygon style with a lot of volume is something I'm interested in. There's a closed belly and closed neck. And of course, color changes around here. It's color changed eyes, color changed horns, even color changed feet. That's the kind of direction that I like to do currently. So that's the model I like. If you would have asked me the same question a couple of years ago, I probably would have answered the Sakusuke skeleton. But it's always changing.
You have a long journey in origami, so what are those hardest moments and how do you overcome them?
It's a really good question. I'm not sure about any of the hardest moments because in my journey it kind of worked out. I think one of the hard things is learning how to criticize your own design to improve. So,
for example?
Like seeing your own flaws, kind of. For example, if I have this model, I could be like, this is perfect. Yeah, this is exactly what I want. And if I do the next model, I'm not going to change anything. But it's important to realize, like, for example, the legs are way too short. And back then, maybe I didn't see it or I didn't know it. But now looking at it, I just realized those kind of things. And kind of criticizing yourself to improve. Maybe that's kind of a hard thing to do. Also, one thing that was really hard for me specifically was moving away from designing a crease pattern first and doing more test folds. For the longest time, I've been designing a crease pattern first. I would draw up the crease pattern first and not do many test folds.
Oh, okay.
And then later on, just fold it. Looking back, it kind of worked out for me. But getting away from this kind of crease pattern first approach was really difficult for me because that's the thing that I'm used to do. And changing that design approach is really hard. So I still like to do a lot of like crease pattern, to use the crease pattern to check the design and maybe improve the design, and also to get started on the layout. But I'm moving away from drawing every single detail in a crease pattern to doing more test folds. And doing more test folds just enables me to do better designs. Like for example, if I do this T-Rex, normally I would have just drawn the entire thing and then folded it once, and then I would have to figure out how do I make the eyes on the final fold. And with test folds, I can just fold the head and figure out all of those details. I can fold the head 5 times and it doesn't matter because it's fairly quick to do. There's nothing I will lose. And so I do a lot more test folds of every individual part so I can figure out the best solution on the actual sheet. If I draw the crease pattern and I fold it, and it's a really complex one like the Batman, I don't. So I spend hours folding it, and I don't want to risk accidentally messing up. So I'm not as brave with
I see.
with structures or with folds like on those where I just test fold everything. So here's some examples of test folds that I did for my T-Rex. So here's a really early test fold where I tried to make the head. There's some teeth on the upper and lower jaw. There's some material here for the eyes, and even a little bit of paper for making these kind of eye ridges. I did some more tests with this one until I got a head that I was mostly happy with. And then I moved on. See, the head is slightly different. There's a tongue now. There's like some more paper. And I expanded the sheet a little bit to see how I can make the front legs. So you can see T-Rex has two fingers. So there's 2 fingers here. And front leg. So that was the main test of this one. And after this one is actually the first time I moved into Ori Editor to check the proportions of the hind legs. So the next step was this T-Rex, which has the hind legs, it has the tail. So I finished the crease pattern of it in Ori Editor. But as you can see, the proportions are kind of strange. So the head is too small in my opinion, and the legs here are too big. So after making that test fold, I went back into Ori Editor and adjusted the proportions more to get to something like this. That's why I was mostly happy with the proportions, so the head is bigger compared to everything else. I'm also just testing a bunch of different ideas, like closing the belly, maybe closing the tail. Yeah, some different ideas, like the legs here. This part took a while to figure out. From there's the final model. There are some more test folds in between that are skipped or lost. But yeah, at some point I came to this one that I was happy with. So there's a closed belly, kind of closed tail. There's color changes on the claws, color change belly, color change on the fingers, jaw, teeth, big color change tongue, and even small pupils in the eyes. So that's the version that I was happy with. Yeah, that's how I came to the finished T-Rex.
What are your next goal in your origami discipline?
Current goal I have is publishing my diagrams in small booklets. I moved away from the book idea of making a full book because my diagramming style keeps changing all of the time. And so I'm more interested in publishing small booklets of maybe single models or 1 or 2 models, maybe 3 models. So that's something I really want to do more. And that's like one of my current goals is publishing a small booklet by myself and also distributing it, selling it and shipping it all by myself. That's like a
nice
goal I want to do next.
Hope you achieve success. Yeah, so what kind of origami artist identity you would like to portray in the origami world?
I hope to be like a kind of person who helps the younger generation achieve the goals more easily. So helping other people in the design journey, and being someone to maybe look up to or ask questions, like a kind of teacher maybe. This kind of,
it's like a mentor, a friend.
Yes. That saying that kind of type.
A senior, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and with that, we actually conclude the interview. Yeah, so thank you so much, Bodo, for all your sharing. I'm sure your fans have a better understanding of your work. And this is the 6th interview, so thank you so much for all your encouragement. It helps to keep the energy going, especially for us content creators, to push beneficial content out to you. He wants to help you. So do check out all his socials. Yeah, do like, subscribe, follow all the socials, the links all in the description below. Visit Germany if you ever get a chance. And I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hey, what's up? Evan here, and today I'm in Germany. Sorry. Baden-Württemberg.